What up? What up? What up? What up, Skylar? How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Welcome everybody. I've got with me today Skylar Kirkland, hunter extraordinaire. As you can't tell, he put those up just for this podcast right there behind him.
No,
So
I'm hiding. I'm upstairs. I'm hiding, and
is that the man cave?
it's like Katie's office slash all my crap. Work on bows up here and hang crap that she won't let me hang downstairs kind of room.
I know I'm in the same boat. So killed that buck this year, and I immediately came home like, heck yeah, I'm gonna hang it in the living room. And she was like, the living room? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like where else would I kill it? Where else would I put it at? And she's like, well, I mean, we got this other wall or in this other room. I'm like, I'm not gonna hide it. Like I'm excited about it. So
They're hidden. They're scattered all over the place from the cabins, my parents' house, and up
yeah,
here.
well, I mean, that's like who you are though. You go on create like wild hunts every year. I mean, you turkey hunt in a few different states every year, right? Did you and your dad go elk hunting this last year?
Dad didn't go. I went with one of my best friends and his dad, but we didn't go this year. We went to Wyoming last year.
Do you have to get you draw a tag for that, or they select, or is it how I know other states are
Yeah,
kind of.
every state's different, but it took us 5 years to get that tag. So we won't be able to go back for another minimum 5 years. It gets harder and harder to get tags every year. So
Did y'all kill any? Did y'all
no,
get one? No. Oh,
no,
that's brutal.
it
Yeah,
is.
because most people go Colorado. Kind of that's a big one to try to draw from.
Colorado's the most popular. It seems like when everybody thinks of elk hunting out west, Colorado's the first one that pops in their head. But man, you can go all over out west.
I would like a moose hunt. Like I don't know why. I've never had moose. I've never. But I think that would be a really fun hunt to go on. Cold, but I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, that's
Now,
definitely on my list.
what's the price of a moose hunt? I mean, probably guided because I doubt I'm gonna be able to do it
If you do
myself.
100% guided, um, you're looking like you're looking at going out of the country, probably doing a Yukon moose hunt in Canada, or you could go to Alaska and do it probably, but you're looking at big money. Like,
Like 15 or 50 or like
yeah, I would say around
yeah.
50.
Oh my
But you can
gosh.
also do like a combination. It's like if you're going to go on a moose hunt up there, you're going to go for 2 weeks minimum, and you can combine a couple different hunts in there and justify spending 50,000. You might spend
Didn't know
40.
you were up there that long.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be up there in a minute. You might spend 40 on a moose and then 10 on a grizzly bear, or
So it depends on the size moose as to how much it's just like whitetail or anything like that. It depends on how big it is, or is it just a tag's a tag?
there are some antler restrictions in Alaska for sure. I don't know about Canada. Um, Alaska, it's got to be like don't get me lying, but it's like a 50-inch spread. It's got to have like 3 brow tines or some crazy stuff that.
Well, I hadn't got to tell you this, but I killed that deer. I sent it over to you. I was so excited about it. I go over to the processor and just I wanted to see it. I've never seen the process done, and I honestly didn't know how it even worked. So when I walked in, they just had the horns there, and I was like, oh my god, they done messed up. Like then I was like, where's the rest? Like where's the rest of it? And then they obviously like walked me through the process of how he does it. But I walk in and my horns are sitting inside of another deer's horns. And I was like, y'all couldn't have just moved it for me. Like you knew I was coming by. You couldn't have just set it out. But you got mine. It was sitting inside that one I sent you. That's like it scored a 201. So it was like mine sitting in there. And I thought, well, now it's different. Like now it's not as cool.
Did they kill it in Oklahoma? Did
Yeah.
you?
But yeah, it was huge. It was the biggest, it was 201 like in 5/8 or something like that. The processor or the taxidermist guy said he was like talking about how nice mine was. I was so excited, and he said, "Look at this one," and he sent it to me, and I thought, "Well,
Dude,
dang, dude,
it's crazy how deer hunting has evolved. Like 200 is like the mark to hit now.
yeah."
Like, that's the
But
dream.
massive. Like I can't even imagine seeing that in the woods.
No, it's huge.
Yeah.
Funny thing about processors, that deer I killed last year, I took it to the processor, and I killed it on late, like right at dark on a Sunday night. And so it was early October, it was a late night, and I just gutted it and threw it in the back of the truck. And then I was going to drop it off at the processor Monday morning. I was in a rush, work, and all that stuff. Typical Monday mornings. And I take it up there and drop him off. And then, like Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe, I get like this weird feeling. I was like, I'm just going to call them and see if they got it caped out so I can go back there and get it to the taxidermist. And I call them and they can't find the deer. They're like,
Nuh-uh.
did we cape it out? Were you doing a European mount, just the head? And I was like, no, it should have been caped. And I was like, you can't find it? And they're like, hang on, hang on. Let me go back there and look in the freezer. And I was like, you know what? I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
Dude, I get there and they've just cut the head off of it. And he's like, bless the guy's heart. He's like, he's a young kid. And like, I wanted to be so mad and upset, but it wasn't going to do me any good. Like,
That's
it was done. Yeah.
yeah.
That deer in the corner right there, biggest one I've killed with a bow.
So you end up doing the just
Yeah.
European on it?
I just did European.
Well, I went to I took it by there, and mine, by the time I found it, I normally got to do all that myself, but I'd never been to the processor in Oklahoma. So I was like, well, man, I don't want to, it was 440. And I thought by the time I do that, they close at 5. I don't want to try to find the freezer. I don't want to try to find the tags. I don't know how they're doing all of it. So I called them and they're like, well, it's a $50 fee to do it. I thought, man, I'm so excited right now. I got buck fever. I was like, yeah, I don't care. $50, whatever, man. They could have said 100 and I'd be like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I go to pick up the meat this last week and I walk in and they're like, hey, your summer sausage, like we do that in one big batch. Normally it'll be ready in like a couple weeks. I said, okay, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and pay for all of it. And so like I had the fee for gutting. I had the fee for the cape. I had the butchering fee. And while I was there, I didn't even think about it. We just bought a half a cow. I've got a little bit of ground meat left over. So I was like, I don't want a bunch of ground meat because I've got plenty. I said, just do the rest of it summer sausage. I didn't even, so I got the back straps and I got meat, like I think the front shoulder maybe for jerky. And I said, just do the rest of it in summer sausage.
What'd you spend? $700?
When she told me the price was $400, I said, I just did one deer. That's what I told her. I said, I just did one. And she said, I know. And I thought, how much was? And she told me, I said, okay, well, the 50 and the 45. I was like, that's, I mean, 100 to butcher it. Okay. I was like, what's the other $200 coming from? And you know how many rolls of summer sausage I've got coming my way?
I mean,
33.
oh my gosh.
It'll take me years to eat that summer sausage.
Christmas wrap.
But now I've got it down. I know where it's at. I know the system. I feel a lot better about it. But we got some buddies who bought land close, and I was like, I'm gonna warn you about all of it. I know where all the tags are, the zip ties, where you put it. But it was still pretty cool. But you were talking about rushing home from work. So just tell us a little bit. You got your own electric company. How's that going? I'm sure it is. Business is booming.
It is. It's not quite as crazy as it's been the past few years, but I mean, people are still building houses. I got a small electrical company here in Central Arkansas and we do all new construction. So it's all, whether it's me working with a builder or people building like their personal houses. That's what we do.
Have you noticed whenever we were growing up, we're about the same age. When we were growing up, it was go to college, get a degree. Like that's where it's hard. And I feel like by doing that, there was such a lull in, the trades, plumbing, electric. And so I feel like there's so few of them now, which there's a ton. But when you think about it per capita, even up here, you may call somebody to come out and it may be a week or so before they can even come out just to look at it. not to even do the work, just to look at it. So do you think that like moving forward that those will grow in popularity and there will be at least kind of a reverse in the mindset of don't just go to college. I mean, if you got to be a doctor, yeah. But if you're wanting to do something else, go to a trade school, go to something that's more specific, or try to become an apprentice where you were an apprentice first, right?
Yeah, you got to work under a guy or work under a journeyman for 4 years before you
Jeez.
can even get to be able to take your test to even be a licensed electrician.
So what's
Um,
the difference, like the guy, like linemen and the guys that work on like poles and that stuff? Well, I mean, I know it's still electrician, but what's the difference in qualifications from like what you're doing versus what they need to know how to do?
it's completely, it's kind of similar. They go through an apprenticeship program as well, um, but like I don't think they're like have to be registered with the state or anything like that. Um, you have to, if you work for an electrician, you have to be registered with the state. You have to be in school. You can't just
Gotcha.
go to work for a guy. I mean, you can, but you're not supposed
Yeah.
to.
Well, if the podcast doesn't go well, I may just be coming working for a guy. So you just let me know if you need some need some help.
But I do see, like what you're talking about, see a swing in it. Um, I was the same way. It was nailed in my head to go to college. The only way to be successful in life is to go to college. Um, and I did go to college for a little while, and it helped me tremendously um, while having my own business. Because I mean, like, I don't think college is bad. If you know
Yeah.
what you're going to college for, like by all means do that. But don't go to college to figure out what you want to do
Right.
because you're going to be in the hole as an 18-year-old kid, and you got this student loan debt that you really have no clue where it even came from because you were too worried about bush light and women in
Yeah,
college.
exactly. Well, and that's why another thing too, I don't like the undergrad stuff, I think, as much. I knew when I went in, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I knew it was going to be business centric. But it was like having to take the different English, history, or like the different classes like that. It almost felt like, well, these are just ways to make the university money. And I felt that way even as a kid going to college, thinking, what does this have to do with marketing? Like, what does this have to do with any kind of bank statements or financials for a company? And it was almost just you get weighed down because I mean I had to take a biology and a chemistry, and I was amazing at chemistry because it was math in there. Biology I was not good at. Like I mean I struggled. I was a senior. My very last semester of college, I finished my biology. Like I took it. I was in there with freshmen, but I hated it, and I thought this has nothing to do with anything that I want to do growing like when I get older.
Yeah.
And I had a great job too. I was in the oil field, so I was making good money. Had a house, and I was at one point thinking, what am I even doing? But I got to a certain point, I thought, I got to keep going. Like, I got to finish. I'm right there. But I thought, biology is keeping me from graduating right now. And I don't plan to ever think about biology after I
Right.
get that class. And so I would have rather have been like, you've got to pass an electric. Like, you've got to be able to at least tell the difference in your house in what outlets are, or, the amp, just little stuff like that, maybe, or a plumbing, or just kind of a tradesman crash course. Not that you could do it, but that you would at least be able to stop the leak till the plumber got there, or things like that would be
Basic
so much better.
man dad crap that
Yeah.
life expects you to know.
Yeah, and I feel confident with most everything. Electricity is not one. Like electricity, I don't want to. I've gotten kind of popped a couple times, and there's too many. Like one time changing an outlet here, there's three switches. I go flip the breaker. They're on three different breakers. I don't even know how that's possible. One of them was in the foyer, one of them was in the kitchen, and one of them was for the lights, like in the right there in the foyer. But they were all three, and it's just me. Not that it was done wrong. It's just me thinking, well, that one light isn't working because the switch was broken. So there was no way for me to, without having a tester, which I bought and got your advice on afterwards. But there was no way for me to test if it works. So I was like, well, them lights don't work now, so that must be it. And I got the old one off, and I got that new one on, and I had my hand kind of wrapped around it, and I hit that dead gum. I had it grounded and hit that other side with my finger, and I felt it come before it did it. and it popped me, and I thought, what the hell? So I went and turned the breaker off in the whole house. Like I flipped the whole thing. Like you would have been over going, what are you doing? I'm like, there ain't no electricity. If I could go out to the road right now and flip that thing, I'd go do it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, you never get
But
used to it.
have you been any crazy stories like that or any crazy
Nothing,
instances happen?
nothing dangerous. I mean, get shocked almost on a weekly basis. I mean,
See,
but
that
no,
doesn't sound that sounds dangerous. Like that doesn't you're like, yeah,
and like it probably is more dangerous for me the older I get because I get more comfortable with it.
that
And
sounds not good.
I feel like the more comfortable you get with it, the more like you might try to cut.
Laid back.
Yeah. And then that's when you get killed, probably.
Well, it's crazy you said that. When I first got out of college, I was working for FedEx Freight, working on a dock, loading trailers. And you first get on that forklift the first time, and you steer with the back. So that's the first thing you got to get used to. Well, when you're first on it the very first time, I was thinking, man, this is God. Like I don't know. Like this is crazy. You feel like you're sliding. Like there's really no traction. You're on a dock that's been there for 70 years, and they haven't coated it or anything. But then after like a few months, I felt like I was out there. Oh, I knew exactly where to hit like the corner, hit the brakes, slide a little bit. I could hit that trailer without even breaking stride. And I thought, I mean, all it's going to take is one good slip, and I go through a trailer, end up outside. And that's why the guy who was training us, he said, you'll never get injured. Almost, you'll never do anything mistake wise in your first few months because he's like, you're so careful, you don't want to break anything. But once you get comfortable, he said, you get lackadaisical and you hit a wet spot. And now that little turn turns into a slide all the way down. You hit somebody else, and that's how people get really hurt. So it definitely is worrisome and crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, you've got you and Katie. Y'all been married for
10 years this year.
10 years. Putting up with her for 10 years. That's awesome, man. And y'all have two girls, but y'all have got one reason I really want to have you on is y'all have got a very unique, awesome story. You don't have to like dive crazy into it, but just kind of give us a little background of how it initially started and then with girl number one and then moving into child number two, kind of just that whole process for y'all and what you experienced, really from a dad's point of view.
Yeah. Um, we got married in 2014. And we did the whole typical, let's wait a year and then we'll try to have kids. And it's what we did. Um, and then we realized that it wasn't going to be just the easiest thing for us. Katie's mom had she struggled with infertility growing up, and then so did we. Dang, you make me cry thinking about it.
Good dog.
Yeah. Um, we did the whole usual try for a year, and then realized that we needed help. What are you doing to me, Jace?
Well, hey, man, you're about to go to Disney World, so let's just get all this out. Let's get it all out. But whenever is it one of those that like when do y'all make the decision that, because I've always, people with different situations they may like after 1 month be like, oh, we can't do it. We didn't get pregnant. What happened? Some people will try for like a few years before they say, all right, how did
Yeah,
y'all kind of realize like, okay, maybe we do need some help, especially with her mom kind of dealing with some of the
right.
same.
We did a year. Just tried naturally, and then realized after the year that needed help, like I said. And Katie just went to her doctor and kind of gave her the rundown, and started doing like some, I forget the medicine that they put her on. Progesterone was one of them, and then
It's a
started.
brutal thing, right? Like it's not. Well, we just think it's kind of like, oh, they just get a shot, but it's like does a lot,
Yeah,
a lot more than we.
it screws up everything. It
Yeah,
screws up their mind. It screws up their body. It's terrible for them. But you would do these booster shots, and then we would do like not IVF, but IUIs, where it's, um, they get her body to where she is as fertile as she's going to be for that month, and then they put my semen inside of her to try to just get it, just kind of
Right.
bypass
Put it
all the
there.
processes. Yeah, try to give us the most odds that we can get, and we did that numerous times. Um, we'd
And
probably
that's not IVF. That's not what that is.
That's not IVF.
Okay.
That's just IUIs that you go through your OB, like at the hospital.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, I have done. It's funny. I have like just to have a funny aspect of it. Bless Katie's heart. She did all the hard work. I just jacked off in a cup.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that's why whenever there's a story you had told me once about you would have it had to be like a certain temperature, so you would have to if you were at the house, y'all would have to like rush, and so it was like just a kind of a weird
and like
thing.
at first it was just like being home, doing your thing, and then putting it in this brown paper sack and taking it to the lab and calling regional, and then it like progressed to doing it in the office in Little Rock when we started doing IVF. But it's like a weird little walk of like
Everybody knows what you're doing.
uncomfortable thing when you get out of your truck and you got this little paper sack and you're walking across the parking lot. I feel like everybody's like, "We know what you just did."
That's not lunch. That
Yeah.
is not lunch right there. Oh, so so that goes on, and then how long did y'all have to do that before you moved to, I guess, IVF is the next step?
We did that for a year, and then we got sent to Little Rock to Arkansas Fertility Clinic, um, and then it kind of started over. Um,
And it's super expensive, right? Like from there, I mean, I don't know about the first part, but like the IVF from there on, it's like incredibly expensive, and it still is not even 100%
no,
that it'll work. You're just kind of
it's
hoping that it does.
yeah. Yeah, the whole process is expensive. Um, from the get go, even being at the stuff we were doing in Conway, I feel like every time every time we went in there, it was $150. Like every shot was
Yeah,
$150. Everything we did was $150. Um, and we do it again,
yeah.
but it would it gets so crazy expensive.
Well, and I think for us on the outside, I had no idea all the details. Of course, Casey knew a lot more about it just because they would get into more details. But we all knew that y'all were going to be incredible parents, and like Katie wanted to be a mom, and so it was almost one of those two where you sit back and go, we know people who don't deserve kids in our mind, like they shouldn't have them. Y'all do. Like, what's going on? And so and then kind of, and not to also, I don't want to like touch on sensitive stuff, but it's got to be a little saddening for y'all when other people keep telling y'all, "Oh, we're pregnant. Oh, we're pregnant," and you're like, "What the hell? Like, why aren't we?"
And it sucks because like there's nothing you can say that helps.
Right.
And it's like you want to be so happy for everybody, and you are, but
But you're also like,
why is it not happening for us?
so y'all get to Little Rock and you do IVF. What's the difference? I mean, IVF, I thought that's what it is. So what's the difference in that?
IVF, they like can completely take over your body or take over Kate's body. They will put you on so much medicine to make a woman's body produce as many eggs as they possibly can.
So it's like a numbers game.
It is. They want to get as many eggs out of her as they possibly can. Whereas most of the time, when a woman, her monthly period or her monthly thing that she goes through, um, she might release one egg. Well, when
Like
you do,
ovulation.
yeah, when you do IVF, they are trying to make her body produce as many as they possibly can because they'll at a certain point they're going to go in and get all those eggs and
Gotcha.
they take them out of her body, and then they fertilize those eggs in the lab. And
Gosh,
dude, it's the craziest thing.
that's wild.
And they would take those eggs and they fertilize them, and then they wait a few days to see what eggs actually fertilize. And then they're all on a grading scale. And then if there's eggs that are good enough to be put back in her, they'll do it, whether it's one or two or maybe none. It's the craziest thing.
And isn't there a chance with, if say there's 3 or 4 or whatever, and they put them all back in, like you could, I mean, it's possible for twins, triplets, like if they all last. I mean, because you're not.
When you see the clinic will not put more than 2 inside of one.
Okay, gotcha.
When you see everybody that has like multiples, like 4, 5, 6 kids, that is usually that usually happens during like an IUI process, like the first thing we did, where
Oh,
you
gotcha.
stimulate her body and she may produce a bunch of eggs, and then you fertilize those eggs and you get what's the TV show?
Yeah, John and Kate plus
Monica.
8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
you
you
get a
get
divorce. That's what you get. That's
that.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, they do not want her, like at Arkansas Fertility, they don't want you to have twins. They just want, they put 2 in you for better odds. And um, most of the time, one fertilizes, sometimes 2. And sometimes one splits and you have twins, but they really just want one. It's
Gotcha.
healthier. It's healthier for the mom and whatnot.
So
Um,
how long did that go?
we did our first one. We did IUIs with them for a little while until um, or like our first IVF process failed. Like she didn't produce enough eggs, so we tried to do an IUI, just kind of like a Hail Mary shot, and it didn't work. So she went through the whole process of with the medicines and whatnot, and then we never got to go through it. But then we did it again, and oh my gosh, it's been so long. It feels like an eternity ago, but it's really, I mean,
6 year, 5 years?
yeah, something like that. A little longer than that, but I think they got like 6 eggs out of her, and maybe two were like graded good, and one was graded kind of good. I know there's fancy terms
Yeah.
for
I
grading,
like our terms. I like the terms we're doing right now. Good, sort of good.
but and they did 2. They put 2 inside of her, and both failed. Um, and then they froze the third one, and so we did it again. Went through the whole medicine process, and Kate's going to kick my butt because I don't remember all the terms and
Yeah, but
everything.
y'all went through so much. It's incredible that you remember.
But and then we went through the medicine again, the medicine process, and they did the frozen embryo. They put it inside of her. That was the third one that didn't do as hot, but it was worth a shot. Um, and it failed. And so that's like 4 years in, 4 maybe
Good
something like
grief.
that. We did it again, and she did great. I think she got, gosh, I don't remember. I don't know how many eggs they got out of her this time, and most of them fertilized, and they were all like great, good. I think is the term for them. And they put 2 in her and got pregnant with El Catherine the first time or that
That's
time.
awesome. It kind of sounds like we're talking about chickens.
It does,
Yeah,
dude.
we got good we got we got good eggs out of her out there.
I
That sounds
know.
like me talking. Had her hooked up, got good eggs this time, but
You
so
should hear like the doctors talk about it, and like it's mind blowing what they do. Um,
once you get, well, y'all find out you're pregnant. It was like pregnancy. I mean, not to get in the weeds, but pregnancy, everything, was it good, normal to like a normal pregnancy, or was it?
yeah, yeah. Everything was great. Kate was healthy. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
had no problems until birth, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, and they don't prepare. I've talked about that with a couple different guys on here. Is it would be almost helpful for a not a birthing class, like they to walk you through the process of birth, but not really what the OR looks like, what the rooms are going to look like, how it's kind of chaotic. And you, as a dad who is like a problem solver, you don't get to do anything. You get to stand there. And for Casey's, I've told this before, like they told me when they took her back and said, "Hey, she can't push anymore. We got to go do a C-section. We're having trouble getting her completely numb." And they basically said, "Stay right here. If we come back and get you, then you'll come back there. But if we can't get her numb, we'll have to do emergency C-section, and we won't come get you." And I was like, "Well, is somebody going to let me know one way or the other?" And they were like, "No, either you'll see us come back out or you won't." And I thought,
Dang, I didn't know that.
yeah. And so I stood there. I mean, it felt like I was back there for 4 hours, but it may have been 10 minutes. But I'm sitting there completely head to toe garbed up. I'm in like a hallway, so people are kind of passing, and they know exactly why I'm standing there, like I'm about to go in. But I can kind of see the people through the door, but I can't see Casey. And she had like the epidural, but her right side just wouldn't go numb, and so her left side was dead to the world, but the right side wouldn't go numb. And they said if we can't get that numb, for it's just be too painful to keep her awake, I think is the reason. And so they put her under and do an emergency C-section. And they said, we'll have to do it. We won't have time to come back out and say, "Hey, we're doing it."
Yeah.
We just won't come back. And so I thought, y'all don't, I mean, as many people's in there, y'all don't have somebody that could just stick their head out the door and just say, "I'm not coming back." Or so I'm out there like praying and just God, like whatever you got to do, even if I don't get to be back there, just make sure healthy. She's healthy. And so finally they came and got me. And but yeah, her just walking back there and it being something that they all deal with on a daily basis, but for me, never experiencing anything like that. You see your wife in the position that they're in, and you're trying to do whatever you can to help them, but then you're looking around the room going, I don't I can't control anything right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm standing here being here for her, but she doesn't even really know. Like she knows I'm here, but she also is on anesthesia. She's just all over the place, just emotions and or with the medicine. And so it's like a hopeless feeling. And I've said that before. I wish they would kind of not to scare guys, but just to say it's not just you walk in, you push a couple times, you get your baby and you go.
And
It's
sometimes
not at
like,
all.
but
Right.
yeah, like it's just an empty feeling when you can't help.
Yeah, absolutely. So y'all get home, El Catherine, beautiful, amazing, healthy. Y'all get home, um, and then kind of go through the next little bit, and when
Well,
Hollis,
we spent like 10 days in the hospital because Katie had to go back in for emergency surgery like hours after birth, hours after the first um, C-section when they went and got El Catherine. She was bleeding eternally. And so they they took her back in and had to figure out where she was bleeding from, and they never figured it out, or they never found anything. When they opened her back up, she had quit bleeding, and she had like
you can
10
tell.
liters. No, she had more than that. Not 10 liters. Holy crap, that's a lot.
I was gonna
Um,
say
she had like a liter of blood in her abdomen. That
that's still a lot. I mean, that's a ton.
Yeah, that's a lot. That they sucked out, but never found out what caused the bleeding. Her body had shut off the bleeding
Shut
by the time
up.
she got back in there. Yeah, so we got back to the room, and like everything's perfect. Her parents come in and everything, and she never can like get comfortable. She never can. She's in constant pain the entire time, and like the doctors would come in, the anesthesiologist was trying to figure it out as well, and then her OB comes in to check on her like later on that evening, and she passes out while she's in there, and they rush her back right then. But they figure it out, or something gets figured out, and
Yeah.
we spend another 8 9 days there. Then we get to have the homecoming.
Yeah. And so you get home, and then At that point, were y'all, I mean, I know it's early on, but did y'all have plans for more, or were you just hoping to get one and so thankful for that that you weren't really sure kind of what to expect moving forward, or where were
We
y'all at?
we really didn't even talk about it. Really didn't even think about it, honestly. We were just happy to have one,
Yeah.
and kind of just never. I mean, at that point, we hadn't talked about it. Of course, everybody wants to have, or I feel like everybody wants to have at least two. But we were just still in
Oh,
shock that we
yeah.
had a baby. I
I mean,
mean,
it was start to finish of like 6 years ish, 6, 7 years of trying to get to that point with all
yeah,
the stuff that y'all had done.
yeah, I think it was about 5, something
5.
like
Yeah.
that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. But we still had 4 embryos frozen at Arkansas Fertility, and so we always thought that if we want to have another baby, that you just go to the store and buy another one, put it
Yeah.
in here, and here we
We'd like to, we got them on layaway. We'd like to pull 2 of them out, please.
go. And they're still there. So
But then, so y'all kind of get, I mean, from what I remember, again, it's been a few years, but kind of a surprise. Like it's,
yeah, big
the
surprise.
next one was quick.
Yeah, 4 months later, after we had El Catherine, Katie got pregnant, and I'll never
That
forget.
is so,
Like this,
that's so wild. Didn't her mom get pregnant kind of the same way with Katie, that it was just
yeah,
completely caught off guard?
yeah, they adopted Jenny, her older sister, um, and like 2 years later, got pregnant with Katie, and they weren't supposed to have any kids. Like
Yeah.
they've been trying for like 20 something years.
Dang.
I know, a
That's
long.
wild. And so with Hollis, was birth, pregnancy all the same? Was that whole process easier second time around?
Yeah, I mean, we got pregnant with Hollis 4 months later, and um, it was a breeze. I mean, a breeze for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're like, I slept well. Like it wasn't even bad.
um, and then had Hollis, and then she's been raising hell ever since.
Yeah. She's your daughters are awesome though. They are going to give some guy a run for their money
They are.
someday. I don't think you got to worry about anybody being mean to them or some guy breaking their heart, because they're definitely going to be the ones
I agree.
physically and mentally, breaking hearts. So, well, man, I appreciate you sharing that. That's I knew whenever we started doing the podcast, and I talked to Casey, and we were just talking about different situations, because that was one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast. Is I have so many friends who are dads, but that's really kind of where the similarities stop. Like
Hmm.
there's not, I've got some with, 2 girls, some that have adopted, issues with having kids, or some who can't, or there's just so many different scenarios. And so, but y'all are a special one. And like I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but the picture that Katie did, I think with the ultrasound, with like all uh the needles around it. It's
It's
a
actually,
powerful, it's what? Or yeah, El Catherine, sorry. But like with all the ones around it, it's just like, I don't know. Cause I don't really understand what the needles were necessarily for, or how many or anything like that. I know there was significance with all of it, but it was also a powerful picture of, this is what I went through to get to where we are now. And so it's awesome. And to be blessed with 2 healthy babies, but then also that Katie has, is still healthy after all of that. Cause I can't imagine what it, you know, does to their body. I mean, we'd probably be laid up for 3 or 4 years after something like that.
absolutely. I mean,
But
it's they go through. They change their body entirely, mentally and physically, almost, just to have that baby.
I know. And just the miracle, and it's such a God thing, which is, Casey always says, if you don't believe in God, you'll watch a birth. Like it's
Uh,
incredible just to see what a woman's body can do to have the baby. But and that's why I wanted to get you on, to have your your perspective of your wife's going through all that, what, you can't say anything. There's nothing to say that makes it better. We've talked about, we had a miscarriage in the very beginning, and it happened so fast for me that I don't say this to say it didn't mean anything, but also it was hard for me to have feelings about it because it didn't even seem real to me. It was like
Yeah.
we found out on a Sunday and then Tuesday we lost it. But Casey, her body had to go through all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, it was like almost like it didn't even happen. And so it's different to have that perspective of just the constant, are we pregnant? Are we not pregnant? Where I experienced it for 1 month, you experienced it for 60 months.
Yeah.
You experienced it off and on for 5 years.
And we had a miscarriage as well. And I don't. It was after one of the first IVF or IUIs. And my dumbass was in South Dakota on a pheasant hunt when we figured out she was having a miscarriage. And so,
Jeez.
yeah, it was terrible. But that also like kicked off and let her know that she can get pregnant.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was a total loss. We were both devastated, but it also like comforted us knowing, hey,
Possible.
my body can, or her body can get pregnant. So it was always, it was a good thing. We got some good out of it as well.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, like I said, appreciate you sharing that. It completely switches gears here, but I've got a little game. Since you're the outdoorsman, um, hunting, fishing, all of it, I thought it'd be fun for us to do a little ranking of animals that you think, since you're out in the wilderness so much, animals that if you met, if you think you could take them or not into a
Yep.
fight. See if you're an octagon. So we're gonna do this, and we'll see. We'll see how you feel about it. But all right, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, man. So the first one, a couple of these are going to be pretty easy. But the first one here, we got a hippo.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, definitely going to certain death.
Yeah, he's gonna kill you.
Yeah. What about, let's see, flying squirrel?
I got him.
You got him?
I got
Kick
him.
its ass. All right. A king cobra.
No, he's got me.
You think all the way? See, I don't know. See, that's the one that I think you don't think you could step on its head or something like that.
Have you seen the size of those things? They're like
Well,
10 feet long.
all right. Well, all right, camel.
Um, do I have options?
Yeah, can you see? Yeah, so you've got 5 options. You're either going to kick its ass, you're going to win, but you're going to get a few bruises, a draw, barely survive, or certain death.
Maybe barely survive.
Okay, so you can take a camel, but you can't take a king cobra.
The king cobra scares me.
I mean, unbelievable. All right, ostrich. They're
This
just so big and fast.
No, and I think they actually kill a lot of people.
Do they? Well, that's
Yeah.
not good since they're at almost every drive-through safari that you go through.
Maybe barely survive.
Yeah, because it's probably not going to finish you off.
Yeah.
Um, is that marlin or swordfish?
How are you supposed to fight a fish?
Yeah,
Um,
maybe a draw because if you just stay on land,
yeah, that's true.
yeah, punk. Bengal tiger,
I think he's gonna get me.
yeah, probably. A llama. They're kind of assholes, but I don't think that they can really fight.
I think I could take it.
Yeah, okay. I think you maybe win with a few bruises.
Yeah, let's.
Lion, that's pretty easy.
Yeah,
Actually, that one would be real fast. Flamingo.
I got that. Got that one too.
All right, turkey.
I got him.
I mean, you do that just about every year. Possum, easy.
I think I can take the possum.
Chimpanzee. I think he's gonna beat you to death with your own arm.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you can take a chimp.
I think they're just so physically strong. I don't think you can either. I'm gonna pick a few of these. All right. I'm not gonna pick the ones that are for sure, but let's go with a seal. Because that one you can fight him on land or water, so you can't just stand on land.
let's do a draw. I think we both give up.
Yeah. you both end up
Yeah.
you both end up laying beside each other. Like this is bullshit. Man, a hyena.
Ugh.
They're
I think
you're
they.
they're just the bite power they have.
I think they have the strongest bite.
Yep. Here's a good one. What about a bull?
Well, if you take like the Spaniards do on their little bull run and stab them first,
Yeah.
I think I could maybe, or would you call it a draw? You just outlast him till he bleeds to death.
Yep. Okay. We'll go draw. I mean, what about an octopus? Because you can fight. I mean, you can fight it on the water. It does. You don't have to be at the depths, but it depends on how big and strong they are.
I know. And
With
then
all them arms,
it might be the creepiest thing on the face of this earth.
is it bad that I think I could win with maybe a few bruises? Because I think with them little suckers, he's gonna get on me a little bit.
Yeah, but
But I also think if you could hit him, I seen somebody chop one in the back of the head, and that's all it took.
yeah, if you could catch it, I think you could kill it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say win with a few bruises. What about a giraffe? You just got to watch out for their feet.
Yeah, I mean, what's their means of protection? Running?
Swinging their head. Like I think if you think about it, if you watch all them lions, the only way if you can get it off its feet, it's over.
Yeah.
It can't get back up. I'm not gonna say I kick its ass, but I think I could win with the feet. It's gonna probably swing and hit me a couple times, but if I could trip it,
Yeah, but they're big. They're
I
like
know. I'm trying to think of how I could trip it.
they're like a big horse with a 10-foot neck. I don't know. Dude, that's a tough one. I don't think
I'm gonna say barely survive. Then I bet we got a lot of long, big animals on barely survive. All right, we'll do two more, and then I got a little surprise for you. I mean, a humpback whale. Why would they even put that on there? Like a humpback, how do you beat a humpback whale?
I don't think you can unless he eats you and chokes on you.
Like Jonah.
Jonah.
This one I want to get your opinion on this. A donkey. So they're smaller than horses, but them suckers are mean.
I know.
You put them on farms to protect like other livestock, chickens, goats, things like that.
You think you could like choke a donkey out?
I do, because just like the not a Bengal tiger, but like I think this right here, I can't see that whole picture, but like those people who have choked out mountain lions. Like I think if you're in a scary situation,
Mm-hmm.
I think your strength, I think you can do it.
Did you hear about the guy from Arkansas that killed the mountain lion in maybe Colorado? It was like
Yeah,
they called it
it hit him. Go ahead.
they called it a kitten, but it's actually like a 40-pound cat. And everybody was like trying to crucify this guy because he kills a kitten mountain lion and it's like 40 pounds. And like, have you ever tried to wrestle a house cat? Like,
Yeah, have you ever tried to wrestle a 40-pound dog? I mean, it's not.
I
They don't
know.
just lay over, and those things are strong. Well, the one that I think it was in Colorado too. He was on a trail running, and a mountain lion, had to be a mountain lion. I don't think it was a cougar, but mountain lion, basically hit him from behind, and he just got it in a headlock, and he literally choked it out.
It's probably the same thing I'm talking about.
But I mean, if you think about it, you're sitting there. There's no way to prepare for that, and you get in that situation. You're like, I choked out a few people. I guess I'll put the sucker in a headlock. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing.
I know.
All right, one more. What about let's do a penguin.
I feel like that'd be about like the seal. I think we'd both give up. I mean,
Yeah, that sucker's just gonna be waddling around, and he's not gonna be.
I know, like you think you can take one, but how are you going to kill him? Like you just pick him up, body slamming him.
Yeah, it's like when you fight that fat boxer and you just keep hitting them in the stomach, and they just kind of sit there.
Yeah,
and they're like just wearing it. So I think that's a pretty good. Spot. The rest of these, I think, were pretty easy to just take over. A goat, a duck, an owl, lobster. Like some of these don't even make sense.
skunk.
Yeah, skunk. See, the thing is, I don't know. A skunk's just gonna be it's not worth it. Like it'll be a draw because I'm just gonna run from it.
Yeah,
because I don't want to smell like it. But them eagles, Man, I don't know. Depending on some of them places in the mountains where them eagles can pick up goats
Yeah,
and mountain goats and drop them. I mean, if they can pick up a goat, I don't know. They probably mess you up pretty good.
yeah,
Because you
absolutely.
got to get that's a good one. Let's end on that. Eagle, how do you think? Because it's going to fly. It's going to be able to fly. It's going to be able to hit you and move. The only way you got a chance is you got to catch it and not let it tear you up while you catch it to finish it off.
Yeah, I think I could take an eagle.
All right. That's pretty ballsy. With
Once
a few bruises, or you think it's like pretty easy? You think
no,
you're just going to.
with a few bruises.
Okay.
Because once you catch him, I mean,
It's over. But
you
then
hold his
talons.
legs and hold his head, and you got him.
Yeah. All right.
What about you got Soph on there?
Now, this one right here, absolute certain death.
Yeah, not
You
messing.
fight a Chihuahua, it's over. Chihuahua, I mean, you can't do nothing about it. They bite you, they're quick. They jump up, they bite, they get your face. You don't even expect it. Like that one, this one actually should be at the very beginning because it's the most lethal one right there. So, all right, dude. Well, I got a little bit of a surprise. So, since we were talking about Katie, I asked her to, like I said earlier, asked her to give me just a few bright spots and a few just good things that she loves about you, being a dad, husband, just things that she admires about you. So sit back. This will take a couple hours. No, she did. She gave me 8 points, which is awesome. First thing she said was he leads and he leads us well. Sometimes I feel like I put a lot of pressure on him to lead our family, have the final say, and give his input, but he takes it in stride. Not that I don't feel like we are equal, and he's never made me feel that way, but biblically, he follows suit to what works best for our family and our hearts. Number two, since the girls were tiny, he meets us in the garage. Every time the garage door opens up or he hears us pull in, he always has met us outside to help unload the girls, greet them, and say hi. The girls say hello, all the things. I don't even know if he knows he does that, but it means so much to me. Um, Number three, not every morning. But she had originally said he gets us up for church every morning, and I was like, "Dang, that's impressive. Y'all go every day." But every Sunday he does, and that's another way of him leading. He's the one who rallies behind us and tries my hardest to be very appreciative and let him know that. Thanks for getting us up for church today, and tell the girls to make sure you tell Daddy. I want to be a staple in their mind when it comes to him because that's what he does. He is very humble. He has a quiet confidence that I admire. I wholeheartedly pray that my girls inherit that characteristic. Number four, everything he does is so efficient. Coming from a female who is ADHD, he gets things done and accomplished so quick and so precise. Examples being he gets the girls' shoes on, loads the girls up, any routine like bedtime or bath time, he's so much better at it than me. Number five, one of the most important things is he shows up. He's involved in everything the girls do. He's the first to tell them how beautiful they are, how smart they are, how funny they are, and how brave they are. I guess what I'm saying is not only does he show up physically, but he shows up socially and emotionally as well. And that is so important when raising daughters. Uh, Next one, he has the best giggle. He's genuinely kind and he can fix almost damn near anything. And living in a house with girls, laughter is the best medicine. An example of being kind is always needed, and we're either going to break everything or not know how to put it together.
Yeah,
Amen. Our girls love him the most. He's always first pick, so whatever he's doing it right. He doesn't say no very often. He pushes me to be better simply by his unwavering support. And then lastly, he loves the outdoors, teaching our girls to see God's wonder through the mountains, trees, waters, and animals, especially deer, turkey, and elk. So you must be doing something right, man. She loves you to death. I think everybody that's friends with you gets to watch you be a daughter to, I know we all used a kid. You needed a son, somebody to hunt with, somebody to do that with. And you've taken two girls and raised them. Now, El Catherine hates frogs. But outside of that, I think you're doing an incredible job. Not that
thank you.
that's a huge complimentary thing for me, but it's just I think you're watching you do it is good. You're great with girls. I think it takes a special dad to be a good dad to girls, and you do it effortlessly. So I commend you for that. And man, you got a dad joke for us,
Yeah, and this came from Dad. First
which
off,
is awesome.
everything Kate said comes from her. Like true heartedly, like everything she said about me, I can't do without her. It takes a good teammate to be a good dad too. Dang it, quit. All right, dad joke. And this came from Dad. I years ago. I heard him say it for the first time, and I'll tell you why. But do you know how to catch a unique lizard?
Uh-uh.
Unique up on it. You know how to catch a tame lizard?
Uh-uh.
Tame way. so anytime
Oh, that's so
Dad
great.
anytime unique is brought up in a conversation, Dad always said that joke, and so I always tell it too. And Katie's probably heard it a million times and thinks I'm an idiot every time I say it, but it always makes somebody laugh.
Man, that's so funny that you have that joke. I have one. Dad kind of does the same thing, but it's a completely different joke. But anytime someone says, "Oh man, I'm so full," and you're like, "Oh man," you say you're full, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I ate plenty." Do you say you caught 20? So, oh, you poor soul. You say you broke your pole? And it's like every time somebody says it, Mom just looks at me. I'm like, I'm thinking it too. Like it's one of those. It's so stupid, but every time Mom goes, "Here we go." Like every time we go to say it, but that's awesome, man. Well, thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate your story. Appreciate you explaining it all. I know that there's dads out there who are kind of going through the same thing and feel like they're the only ones, probably like you felt at times that you're the only one going through it. So appreciate you putting it out there, man,
Well,
and
y'all were
just
there
being
with
real
us.
about it.
Y'all were there with us too. Y'all helped us throughout that
Yeah, we
journey.
have some funny stories that we can't tell on the podcast, but there were
Yeah,
some funny times too out there. But yeah, glad everybody's where we are. God had a plan. We didn't understand it, but y'all are. I think it even if it was impossible, I think it made y'all better parents, the better
absolutely,
parents that you are. So,
100%.
but man, appreciate that. Everybody, don't forget, shut the dang door.